Good afternoon, y'all. What's up? Welcome to the Nerd Cave. I'm Ashton, as always. I am joined by my good friend Casey, as you can see. Y'all know him by now.
How
Um,
y'all doing?
he's been around. So, this is the very first episode of something that I hope will become a regular show. We don't know yet if it's going to be bi-weekly or monthly or weekly or just whenever we get to do it. But either way, we're excited about doing this. We've been knocking this idea around for a little while, but we are going to be rereading Spawn, starting at issue one, and just reviewing it 30 something years later, seeing if it holds up. For me, this is pretty much going to be a new read for me. I read it a little bit back in the day, but only the first 15 or 20 issues, and I haven't read it since then. So anyway, with all that said, we're also going to be trying to do this as a podcast. So be be looking for that on your wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, wherever. But anyway, so I guess what we're going to do first is just give a little background of ourselves, and because I've never really talked about that on this channel. We hinted on it a little bit last time, but Casey, how did you start reading comics? What got you into them?
Hmm.
And yeah,
Well, I think initially, I had an older friend of mine that I used to be friends with that had a couple comics, and I got a value pack from Walmart back in the day where they would hard plastic pack four or five, six comics, and you really never know
yep,
what you're going to get. Um, but I ended up getting a Punisher Warzone 50, I believe it was, red cover, die cut in the front,
that
and
was
Nomad
probably Punisher Warzone number one has
number
that.
one. Yeah. It
Yep,
was a
yep,
Warzone.
yeah.
Yeah, it was Warzone number one. And I got a Nomad number one, which at the time kind of reminded me of a TV show we used to watch at Renegade.
Yes.
And kind of got those and kept those two and really didn't concern myself with the other ones. And a little further as we got into the X-Men TV show is what really jump started my comic collecting with the X-Men and Marvel side of the house.
Yeah, that's I really started in earnest because of X-Men and Batman the Animated Series. Those both came out the same year at the same time, which is wild to think about because,
Yeah, it's
man,
two of the greatest
those
animated
shows.
series.
Batman the Animated Series is probably my all-time favorite TV show.
Yeah. It's
Um, it it holds up. I mean, it's mature. It's the animation is still flawless 30 something years later. But we're not here to talk about Batman the Animated
that'd
Series.
be a whole nother issue.
Unfortunately, yeah. There's there's tons of shows and podcasts about that. But yeah, it was I was drawn at the time more toward X-Men. The cartoon really got me into it, and I was a Marvel guy at first. Well, I
Yeah,
say Marvel. I was an X-Men guy at
yep,
first. So
for
I
sure.
started. My first comic I got was X-Men Adventures number two. I got it from the Waveland Walmart, and I still have it, and I've read that thing probably a million times. Um, and it went from there. Now I quit reading comics sometime in high school in the mid '90s, mid to late '90s, and I picked it up again in college because I had friends, Matthew and Daniel and uh, Kyle and a couple others that read comics, and so I started again, and that's I really got into DC at the time. And I still consider myself a DC guy, even though you look behind me and you see a ton of Wolverine and X-Men.
Mhm. I
Um,
think that just all
but
stems from your X-Men background.
yeah, it does, and that's really where my focus has been. So after college, I quit reading again until the New 52 kicked off in 2011. I found that a really good jumping on point to start over or to get back into it. So I got, all the New 52 stuff, Batman, Detective, Superman, Action. I read most of those. Phantom Stranger had his own series, which was awesome. He's one of my favorite characters. Aquaman, man, that Jeff Johns Aquaman run in the New 52 is top notch. But got out of it again probably in 20. I'll tell you, I quit collecting at the end of 2019, and I hung on long enough to get Ninja Turtles, the IDW Ninja Turtles series, issue 100, and then I quit. And now I don't really read any new stuff. I'm working on filling in my Claremont X-Men run,
Yeah.
and just other stuff. What are you focusing on these days?
Um, at the moment, I just actually started collecting again because unfortunately I had amassed a pretty good collection, but after Hurricane Katrina, they disappeared, needless to
Mm,
say. And I was kind of over it at that point because I had so much stuff that I would have had to try to go back and replace. And back then, you didn't have huge comic book shops with all these back issues that I was just going to end up finding after Hurricane Katrina just to start replacing some of these comics. So I
yeah,
kind of quit
not down
for
here.
no, not down here anyway.
Surely
So
didn't have that.
I'd quit for a long while, and actually just recently got back in the past year. Um, Thanks to going to these few toy shows I went to, it kind of reignited my want to get back into it after being able to kind of time travel back and see all these great stories that I was missing out on. And the best thing about it now is all these back episode or issues that I had that I didn't have whole stories of. I can just go get them and have the complete stories instead of bits and pieces and wondering what happened with the story. So now I'm going through. I'm trying to get a lot of Shadow King and Legion because I really enjoy those stories. I just got the Mirror Island collection. I picked that up from the comic book shop. Going back to a lot of '90s stuff that I had bits and pieces of. Fatal Attractions is a good one I got
Yep.
completed. Got a couple first appearances. Legion's first appearance. Shadow King I just picked up recently. Just a lot of the '90s X-Men stuff that I really want to go back and have the whole story that I didn't get to finish back when I was heavy into it.
Yeah. I quit reading right about the time Onslaught happened.
Mhm.
So I think that'll be fun to go back and get those issues.
Yeah,
I wonder if they're going to go the Onslaught route in X-Men 97.
that's kind of where they're
I don't
heading. I
know.
think it would be a
I don't
fantastic
know.
place to pick up, and that actually ties in with um, Legion's Quest is what I got the main story arc, but I got some fillers I got to get some little
Yeah.
tie-ins. It's not a big deal, but I just read it from start to finish last week and never knew that's how everything went down. I knew the ending, of course, but
Yeah.
now I've got to get, I guess, what is it? X-Men, Alpha and Omega right after that picks up right before the Age of
I actually,
Apocalypse.
actually just grabbed those. I have those sitting right here. Oddly enough, here's yeah, there's Alpha. That just came in. I just got that off Whatnot for like $2.
Yeah, because you get finished
So,
with the Age of Apocalypse. But my time might be off because it's been so long. What was it? The Age of Apocalypse was after the Fatal Attractions. Legion's Quest happened after that, right?
yeah,
But
because
because
the Age
Onslaught
of
actually came in the Fatal Attraction
after
series. Okay,
Onslaught was after Age of Apocalypse.
yeah, but
That was all after that.
I think the action that happened was the end of the Fatal Attraction series
Yeah,
is what created
but,
Onslaught,
yeah,
if I
yeah.
remember right. Is
Magneto,
when yeah when
Xavier, and
he got attacked by
when he
Professor
wipes
X.
his mind,
Yep,
when Xavier
I
wipes
think
his
that's
mind. Yep, yep.
okay.
Well,
I'm about
we're going down rabbit trails now.
to.
This is a show about Spawn, and here we are. We live in '90s X-Men glory. Which
Yeah.
hey, that may be something else we tackle one day.
Well,
Um,
it kind of ties in because I right towards the end of my X-Men deal I was going and collecting, I ran into I really don't even remember where I was introduced with Image to begin with, but I know it
Probably
was
Wizard magazine.
Wildcats.
Probably
Yeah, probably Wizard.
something to
And I
do
think
with it.
Wildcats was the first um maybe Wildcats right before Spawn, but once I hit Spawn, I was an Image guy after that.
Yeah. Um, I didn't get a whole lot of Image books. I got some Spawns, probably some Young Blood because obviously Rob Liefeld was,
You
you
know,
know, the big deal. But let's talk about how that happened. So Marvel and DC were the big dogs for decades.
yeah, I mean, that
Uh,
was really the only companies you had putting out regular comics that everybody
at
was going
least,
crazy for.
yeah, at least the big stuff. I mean, Archie had
Yeah,
been
all the big
around
stuff.
forever,
Yeah,
and but
which
I
yeah,
mean,
you
if
had
you look at the
always had your
sales,
DC. Yeah, you always had your DC Marvel battles.
you know, and I mean, at that point in the late '80s to the early '90s, Marvel was blowing and going. They had Todd McFarlane was drawing Spider-Man. Uh,
Hmm.
Jim Lee had been on X-Men before that. Mark Silvestri was on X-Men. Um, so McFarlane was on Amazing Spider-Man, and then he released Adjectiveless Spider-Man #1, and that was the first comic at that time to really, sell a lot. It's estimated to have sold around between 2.5 and 3 million copies,
That's
which
it's
is
up there.
it's a lot. And then Jim Lee came out with X-Men #1, him and Claremont, which Claremont only wrote the first 3 issues of that, and Marvel gave him the boot. The '90s are known for being a lot of flash, more flash than substance.
Yeah,
And Jim Lee
the
definitely brought
artwork
the flash.
changed, uh, colors changed.
Yep, everything. So Jim Lee's X-Men #1 is estimated to have sold around 8 million,
Yeah, I can see
which
that for sure.
is
Is
that's
that the one
unheard
with
of.
the four different covers that came out that you just finished up?
Yep,
Is that what
yep,
started that series? Or five?
five
Okay.
different covers because they had the four and then they had the one gatefold that had them all
Yeah.
together. So I mean that's another reason it sold so much. People wanting every cover. Spider-Man #1's the same thing. It had the regular cover, it had a gold edition, it had a silver edition. Uh, so that really started the '90s boom of all these crazy variant covers and holograms and all the stuff that I love because I'm a sucker for a hologram. Give me
Me
something
too.
shiny, I'm all over it. So Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane and Rob Liefeld in New Mutants and X Force, uh, they were selling all these books, and Rob Liefeld, for example, co-created Cable and Deadpool, and he didn't, he doesn't own the character. He created the character, but he didn't own them. And it's just like the X-Men with Jim Lee and Spider-Man with Todd. They were responsible for these books that sold millions, and they don't really get,
And
you know, any of that really because they didn't create the character. So what they wanted was to to be able to own the company or the characters that they created. So they broke away from Marvel. It was Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, Mark Silvestri, Eric Larson, Jim Valentino, and Will Spertasio. Eric Larson was drawing Spider-Man. He went on to Amazing Spider-Man after Todd split to the Adjectiveless Spider-Man. Um, Will Spertasio was on. He took over Uncanny X-Men when Jim Lee went to X-Men. So all these guys just they got together and they wanted to own their characters. So they started Image Comics, and the rest is history. You had these dudes just creating these crazy extreme characters, which was the thing in the '90s. I mean,
yeah, and the image, I
pouches,
don't know. And I'm not for
pouches were all
sure.
the rage.
Yeah, and I'm not for sure if there was a ratings issue that Marvel had to stick with as far as violence and I say not adult content, but young adult content. Whereas
Yeah.
Image really didn't hold back on anything whenever they put stuff out, especially in the Spawn.
Yeah, they had the comics code. I'm actually looking it up right now because I don't know when they stopped
I was
using the
always
comics
curious
code.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah. But Image didn't have that. And
No.
Spawn number one, I mean, it's a little, it's nothing, it's PG-13,
No, they
but
they
you
kind of
couldn't
ease
get
you in with
yourself out
Spawn
of
number
that.
one in the
Yeah.
first couple issues, and as it goes along, it gets a little
It's,
more extreme.
yeah.
Needless to say, and I think I think that was kind of the lure to Image Comics as well. It was something that you really haven't seen in your traditional DC or Marvel releases before. I mean, obviously you had
Yeah.
your Death of Superman. It was a little more violence, and Batman early on in the
Wasn't
'90s got a little
exactly.
violent. Yeah, but
Well, even,
eh,
I mean, back in the 80s, you had, well, okay, DC pushed the envelope more than Marvel did because you had Watchmen in the 80s, you had
yeah,
Dark Knight Returns, you had The Killing Joke. Um, so, but those were more prestige format that were just going to be, you know, pushed toward a more adult audience.
yeah,
Um,
mm,
but with Image, I mean, they were all, it was kind of almost a free for all.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, uh, that was something else that creative freedom, I guess, is what it all boils down to. They could pretty much do what they want. Um,
Yeah, and on a
so
little side note with owning characters, there's a little backstory you might get into later about the Angela and Image
yeah,
because Todd kind of ran into the same issue with her
yeah, we'll definitely get to that
in Image
around
comics,
issue nine.
far
Issue
as
nine.
character ownage.
Yep. So we'll definitely dive into that. I'll let you dive into that because that's you're a big fan of that whole story, I know. So when we get there, a few more episodes in, we'll hit issue nine and talk about that one. But well, you ready to dive into Spawn? Spawn is of
For
those
sure.
early Image books. Spawn and Savage Dragon are really the
Yeah,
only two that are still like continuous. Um,
yeah. Spawn's been hanging around, man.
so I mean, a lot of them are. Um, Wildcats, they're owned by DC. Jim Lee took them to DC. It's
Yeah,
weird seeing Grifter in a Justice League comic.
yeah.
Um, but he's there sometimes. He's in DC, and it's pretty cool. But yeah, Spawn and Savage Dragon are the last of the Mohicans.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's go ahead and dive into Spawn number one. Like I said earlier, these are pretty much new to me. I couldn't. It's been 30 something years since I read it, so
Yeah, they're
it,
going back into them. It's been a long time since I've actually read any of the earlier Spawns, but I did read every one I got my hands on. That was about the only series that I was for sure finding a way to Walmart or a local comic shop that we had to keep up with monthly issues that came out was my Spawn. And
yeah.
yeah, it's going back into it is nice to actually read it as an adult and be able to appreciate more of the art and
Mhm.
lines and shadows and colors that went into it
Yeah.
that in
I
my
mean,
opinion
it's.
kind of set it apart.
I guess we can. We'll start with that. Just it is a good looking book
It is
today,
vibrant
even
colors.
today.
Everything was bright,
Yeah,
not color like the red was just super bright, real
and that green.
saturated colors. Yeah. The green
Hmm.
was is
It popped
kind of a staple.
for sure. So right off the bat, I mean, honestly, Todd's not one of my favorite artists, but I mean, you got to respect him. He had a
Yep.
style, and he got popular. He made that style popular. So I think the look of the book is really good. And Todd always worked with good artists. Later on, Greg Capullo will come on
Oh
board.
yeah, he was Greg Capullo
Um,
was a Spawn legend all of his own. Uh,
mhm.
once he came in, and you can tell the difference between their artwork. Both got their own styles that I appreciate.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a good looking book. What did you think about the story in the first issue? 'Cause so
I like.
Casey's already you read the first three already, right? The
Yeah,
first three
I'm gonna
issues.
go back and I'm gonna go back and touch on them before we do our next episode. I kind of read through
Mm,
them and
yeah.
just to kind of get a head start and kind of refresh my memory a little bit on them. But I'll get
So
more in
our
depth on
Yeah, our plan is to look at each story arc. I found a
them.
reading list. It looks like each arc's about three or four issues or so. Um, but I just wanted to touch on the first one, and then next time we'll finish out the first arc. But
Yeah,
what did you think about issue one? What did you think about the story, how it was presented?
I like I really appreciate the very start of it. Everything's dark. It kind of sets almost like you could watch it as a movie. Is what
Yeah,
I like about it.
very
Sets out
cinematic.
what, yeah, with him just coming to with no memory really. He keeps referring back to a deal he made is kind of the only thing that he remembers. Um, and as you're going through the book, little bitty snippets of memory comes back. Uh, he's in a miserable situation for sure. And it just kind of progresses. It, it,
And
it it's easy to read. It's easy to follow, you know.
it was an easy read. I was kind of older comics tend to be more wordy, and
Yeah.
older even in the 90s.
Now I will
And,
say
and this one wasn't.
the only thing I found a little annoying when it was necessary was the newscasters. If you paid attention to
Yeah,
like when it was showing like snippets of the
yeah,
weekly news after something would happen, it was
yeah.
bouncing back and forth between those
That's a
guys. But it was
very
cool because each of them had like their own standard of news, like
spin,
they kind of like they do
long
now.
spin. Yeah, and that's a very Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns kind of thing. Um,
Yeah.
is using a newscast to kind of push the story along. I thought
Hmm.
I liked it. It
Kind of, yeah, kind of
had
some filler pages.
yeah, but they weren't. I mean, they gave you important information. It kind
Hmm.
of filled you in on who this Al Simmons character is and
Yeah, it gave you
what his
some
deal.
background for sure.
Um, yeah, I was going to comment on those page on the news pages because, like I said, it's a good Frank Miller homage, I guess.
Yeah,
And
they're
we know
necessary
that,
necessary to put in some story for sure.
yeah, and we'll see later that Todd and Frank obviously appreciate each other because they wrote
Oh, for sure.
that issue.
They got a
But
nice collab.
yep. Um, but yeah, I like the mystery that's presented. We
Hmm.
don't know really any more than this Owl character knows. I
Yeah,
mean,
you're
we
learning
do get
you're learning about
well,
Al as he is in the comics, so it's easy to
yeah,
get into it.
yep, it is. It was easy to get into. And then things start coming back to him. Um, there's a woman being assaulted by some thugs, and he busts up in there and takes care of it, and that's when he
Hmm.
starts having these flashbacks. Um, and it's when he realizes that there was a woman that he made the
Yep.
deal for. The whole thing is because of
Oh,
her.
how many stories and movies have you seen about love?
Yep, all the good ones.
And he made a deal for love. So, but you got to
Yep.
be careful who you
And
make deals with.
we don't really know who he made a deal with in this issue. It shows a character that's very demonic looking, which, I guess it's Malbolgia is who it turns out to
Hmm.
be, obviously. But and honestly, the only reason I remember that is I went back and watched the first few episodes of the HBO cartoon several months
Yeah,
ago, way before
yeah,
I had
that's
the idea.
yeah,
Um, which we'll probably talk about that at some point. We'll tie it in.
yeah.
But
And you're another thing I appreciated as we were talking about you're learning this character's evolution as he's learning it at the same time as you're reading it. There's no as a new character you've never seen him before to begin with, but then he doesn't even know who he is. But you also get to see kind of a little bit of his abilities develop as The first issue kind of goes on a little bit, not much, but just a little snippet to where, is a
There,
little something extra.
there was one line that he said. I'm going to see if I can find it. Um, while I'm looking for it, though, we're also introduced to this counter with numbers on it. It's a bunch
Yep.
of nines,
It's a
and
unknown
we
meter
don't
of
know.
sorts.
Yeah, but what is it? Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, we know now, but in that issue, no idea what it was.
I think it's
It was just
all
something.
nines, I think.
Yeah, this
Isn't it
starts out
all
with all
nines? It's a
nine,
little, yep.
and but there's a line somewhere where he talks about. It's right here. He says, "I feel I can do anything, anything at all with my power, but why can't I remember?" I think that's a nice little tease of,
Yeah.
what can this guy do?
Yeah. So I was saying that little snippet of he has powers, but he just don't really discover them because he
Yeah,
doesn't
we
even
don't
know.
know.
Yeah.
He
He
doesn't
doesn't even
know.
know.
Todd knows.
Yeah. And I think,
Um,
it's going to be fun to see and remember everything as his powers go along and you get more history and things. I'm kind of looking forward to it
oh yeah, I am too.
because I'm a sucker for backstory on any TV show that I watch or any movie. I appreciate backstory so much.
Yeah, I like world building. Whenever
Yeah.
the whenever they take the time to just build this world that they're living in and to get kind of engrossed in that, that helps the story, I believe. Um, so yeah, it was cool. We There was also a part, speaking of the mystery, where he talks about. Um, I remember there was someone to love, someone to hate, and it shows the sky. And I know who it is
Yeah.
because, like I said, I watched the cartoon, but
Hmm.
we won't talk about it yet. But that's intriguing, you know. Like, who is
Yeah.
this
I
guy?
mean,
What is
he's
the reference?
obviously got at the end. I mean, you see a picture of him and he's amused, if I remember right. And he's got main boss vibes for sure. Just from the picture,
um, yeah, yep.
the illustration of him.
Oh, we're also introduced to Sam and Twitch.
Yeah, that's two staples in
Um,
this whole series too.
yeah, they're kind of serving as the everyman, I guess. Like, they're us in the story. They're kind of looking in from
Yeah,
the outside, trying to figure everything
and I
out.
really,
Who's this guy killing all the bad guys?
yeah, and I really appreciate the like 50s gumshoe style detective setups that they have between both of them.
Yeah,
You've got your modern police that end up, through the series, but you switch back to these guys and it's trench coats and ties and like just your classic detective feel.
yep. I'm a sucker for that too.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of a little bit of retro mixed into modern
Yeah.
comic at the time that they come out in the 90s. They kept a throwback to some old detective series.
So this is a random question. Whenever whenever you read comics, do you hear the characters' voices differently in your head? Like each character has a different voice in your head, or not?
I assume, yeah, what they sound like. It makes it
Yeah.
fun.
It's Spawn obviously is what's his name who voiced him in the show. David Keith. Keith
Yeah,
David. There's a Keith David and a David Keith, and I always get them
I
confused.
can't recall which one it is.
One of them is the voice of Spawn. He was also the voice of what's his name in Princess Mononoke, the warthog god. But he's got that really, really deep voice. Um, to me, and because I watch so much Batman the animated series, um, Sam definitely to me sounds like Harvey Bullock
Oh
from
yeah,
Batman the animated series. Um, so yeah, that's just I just wanted to know. I have voices for all characters in my head, and we'll talk about that sometime, maybe in a different episode of a different show. Um,
yeah.
Anything else you want to say about Spawn One? How was it?
No,
What?
like I say, just going back to it, and like I say, kind of commingling, reading some Marvel stuff from the '90s, and then switching to reading Spawn. The I wouldn't say it's a drastic difference in the art style and print, but you can definitely tell. It seems like the lines and Spawn are a little more crisp for some reason. A little the inking is a little darker to me.
Yeah.
Um, and of course, it's a new style too. I mean, it's Todd McFarlane's staple that
Hmm.
that he introduced everybody at Image. So I kind of appreciate that in the colors and just looking at the difference between Spawn and some of the Marvel stuff that I read and seeing the style difference mainly.
Yeah, that I didn't even think about that. I there is a difference in style, the writing style and the art style.
Hmm.
Trying to think of the last '90s comics I read was probably Wolverine.
Yeah, and
Um,
I don't know what kind of
there,
technology changed or how, at the printing press or whatever,
mm,
how it varies, but like I say, a lot of your early Spawn and it's just the vibrant reds, the colors look just
well,
real
the,
saturated is the only way to explain it.
the
It's just
paper
popping. Yeah.
that they printed it on was an upgrade from like the
Yeah, it was
newsprint
definitely a
that
little
you
more
saw.
premium paper. So that might
Yeah,
that
it's
might be
just
a lot of it
that has a
too.
lot to do with it.
It's
Yeah.
got a different
Um,
feel.
and also, I read it digitally, so I mean, obviously, digital
Yeah,
is going
that's
to be
what
super
yeah.
crisp.
Um
But even looking at the papers, that higher quality paper that they switched
mhm.
to in the '90s.
I was
But
looking
yeah,
at some of the '80s comics that I have is printed on like funniest comic newspaper style paper almost.
newsprint. Yeah. Yep.
And then you move up to some of the '90s story arcs I'm going through now. Even in Marvel, you can tell it's a little more glossy.
Hmm.
And then there's
And that
even a step up
completely
from that with these
understandable.
Image comics because I got a few issues that you gave me of
Yeah.
Spawn and going through some of those just physical copies, and you can definitely tell. So it's kind of neat revisiting that, and hopefully it'll jog some memories from back in the day
Oh yeah, that's what I'm going for.
and some talking points. But
I want to be hit by
I didn't make
nostalgia.
it past. I probably kept up to past way past 50s into 60s probably.
Oh wow.
I don't remember much past around the 50 issues. I kind of remember some of the main story arcs. I'm interested to revisit and see if it's how I remember it. See if I can
Yeah.
pick up on things I kind of overshot as a younger teenager, preteen, kind of just skimming through kind of fast to get to the end and see what happened. Now I can try to appreciate it a little more.
Well, I'm excited about this. That first issue, it really got me wanting to read more, which I guess is what a first issue is supposed to do.
Yeah. And it
So
definitely,
on number
like I say,
one,
it's definitely gets you out the gate and kind of gets you and it draws you in because you're trying, like you say, you're trying to figure out who this guy is along with him. So,
yeah,
and then you get to the end of it, and it's a kind of a little reveal. I mean, I think if I remember correctly, is he's unmasked in this one as well for the first time
he is, but it
towards the
stays in
end. It's
shadow.
not, yeah, it's shadowed. You can see his hand a little bit. I
Yeah,
think
and you can see that his face is pretty
it's,
jacked up.
yeah, it's
Making
damaged.
that
So
making that hamburger
he's
head.
definitely not your typical pretty boy hero in this one. That's just wears a mask just because he's more of a Deadpool style that wears it to cover up.
Yeah, yep. So it definitely put things in motion. It definitely planted
Yep.
seeds that make me
It
want
ends
to
well
keep going.
to keep you hanging. So
Yeah.
on to the next one.
So on to the next. Next time we'll hit up issues 2 and 3. And we'll go from there. But I
Yeah.
hope
Maybe next
y'all
time we'll jump straight into Spawn and not have to we get off on it seems me and you start talking, we get off on tangents about days of old and everything
we might
X-Men
just have to have
and comics and but it's just two good friends talking. It happens like that.
yeah,
So
yeah, we might just have to have a nostalgia
yeah,
episode
we'll
where
just have a revisit.
we'll just
I'll come
ramble
over and
for
we'll do
three or
that one.
4 hours.
Yeah, we'll just do that one at the Nerd Cave. I'll come over and we'll just
Yep.
put a camera up and
And we'll
we'll
get
probably
some
get some good
pizza and
stuff
just
out of
talk.
it. Yeah.
But well, I hope that if you are watching or listening, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you maybe learned something. I hope you share it with your friends. And I hope mainly that y'all come back next time because we
Yeah.
will
And
be
definitely take the
doing this
chance and
again.
maybe get inspired, like myself, to if you were ever into comics or anything younger and kind of got out of it, take a minute to revisit some of it. And everything's available now from for my age anyway. You know, you don't have to wait for issues to come out. You just go find them for a decent price and get them and just revisit. You know, I
Yeah,
thoroughly enjoyed.
that's exactly what I want is for somebody to listen to this and say, "Dang, I haven't read that comic in 34 years. Let's read it." And
Yeah,
then,
let's break it out. Maybe you
other
got
people,
all of
that's
them and you just need to thumb through them again.
yeah, that's what we want. We want to make you feel like you're, you know, 13 again.
Yeah.
Because me and Casey do that all the time. We text each other all day when we probably should be working and send each other stuff. And it's just like we're, in my bedroom again at 12 years old, flipping through some X Factor comics or something. It's
Yeah,
fun. And
trying to draw some stuff or
trying to draw stuff, man. We used to do that. Me and Casey we would grab an issue of Wizard and find something in there to draw, and we would try to draw it just like the picture in the book. And it's fun times. So Casey and I are definitely reliving our youth this past year, and it's been a
yeah,
blast.
definitely. It's been so much fun. I've enjoyed
So
it.
hopefully y'all will do that. And again, thanks for joining us, and we will catch you next time.